You and your film are nominated for Best Feature Film, Best Cinematography, Best Editing, and Best Sound. Congratulations on such a fantastic film. I enjoyed every part of it.
Thank you, and thank you to your festival for having me, and thank you all. I don't know what role you played in it, and thank everybody for nominating the film and the team for those categories. We're thrilled. Thank you.
The impending, I guess, hurricane metaphor in your movie kind of reflects Aaron's unraveling rage as the plot carries out. And as you mentioned in the article that you sent me on Twitter, you said that the night you came up with the idea, there was an actual hurricane coming over your house.
Yes.
So what was that creative spark kind of light bulb moment like for you?
So actually, I was living in Los Angeles for about 8 years, and I didn't move to LA with the intention of going into the entertainment industry, but that sort of developed over time. And I actually left LA because I couldn't focus on writing. I couldn't focus on trying to get a career off the ground in entertainment. I came to my farm in Florida, and I came with the intention of writing a different film. I was thinking about the movie that I was going to write. I was sitting in my house, and then all of a sudden this hurricane flew over from the Gulf of Mexico to wanting to go to the Atlantic. And it was then that I was thinking, oh, wouldn't that be interesting if we had this story where people were kind of trapped in a town that had been evacuated, and that was kind of the plot device to get them isolated. And then that sort of just began well, how's it going to be interesting though? That's a gimmick, right? So that's how that started.
So how does your film do LGBTQ plus horror in such a unique way compared to others?
So it's not often that LGBT cinema has been allowed to go beyond certain kinds of themes, the AIDS themes, the coming of age type stories, and to move over into horror. You don't tend to see that too often without it being either, and there's nothing wrong with this, without it being extraordinarily campy. Like I said, no judgment there, because there's a place for it. But I was thinking there are deeper senses of inner shame and inner violence, as well as the violence that we do to one another, particularly in our relationships, that we don't see talked about in the media. We don't see it depicted in the arts and other places. And I was thinking, how can I do that? Make a thriller type film and add in those elements. Because, horror films, people are sort of waking up to the idea that horror films are about more, something more. They're, films of ideas. And I was thinking, well, maybe this can be the idea. And that's where that all came from.
There's a sense of discomfort tends to draw an audience more into a film, at least it draws me into it. And it's kind of a case of you can't turn away from it. You want to keep watching. So was that your intention with the film? Did you want the audience to feel that?
No, it's not what I intended. I think I knew that likely would result because of the nature of the brothers' messed up relationship, but I didn't intend for it to make people uncomfortable, even though it did make me uncomfortable in filming. And
I meant that in the best way possible.
No offense. No offense at all. When you start talking about unwanted sexual attraction between two people, you're always going to have this degree of discomfort. Well, sure. I would hope. But when you start adding in two men, that takes it to a different mental place. But then also the fact that they're brothers. And although we never see anything on screen, I think that goes too far. The idea is there. So I wasn't intending to push that kind of boundary at all. But I did want there to be this idea of this effort by one brother to seek forgiveness and what happens when he can't get that. And then the other part of the brother who can't get the healing that he needs. And then the resulting violence.
I was just wondering if there's any specific pieces of kind of same genre work or specific individuals that inspired you throughout the creation of Hurricane Aaron.
All right, Abby, listen. So I was gonna make this movie. I was like, we're gonna put it in this house, but then I was in this small town in Florida, and I was like, well, where on earth are we gonna film it? The inspiration came from the house itself. Everywhere I went around town, everyone said, you need to go to this house. And I was like, I don't know. They bill themselves as like a wedding venue. I had never been inside. I had never driven by. I didn't know anything about it. It's like, no, 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 no. Oh my God, Abby. But like every road went right to that house and all the other doors were closed. And so I go into the house and the people who were the caretakers introduced me to it. And I was like, oh my God, this is a horror movie just dying to happen in here. Like one bedroom, the main like bad guy, I guess, is Aaron's bedroom, has red leather wallpaper. And I was like, are you kidding me? Like red leather wallpaper? And just the other rooms in the house, every room had its own character. The house itself has a haunted vibe in terms of its own history. And so that's when I just thought, this is it. And let's use what we have here. So in terms of, did we have inspiration from other works of art? I would be lying to you if I said that even though I may have had those inspirations, that I had the budget or the ability to pull that off. So we worked with what we had. And oh my gosh, that house was just such a gift.
With everything going on, what did you do to center yourself and keep sane?
That assumes a level of sanity I do not believe I have. There was no sanity while I was finishing the project. It was after the project was out the door that I was able to, I'm lucky that I live in the middle of nowhere and I'm able to go out in nature on this farm and just have peace in this space and reconnect with the land and reconnect with God. That happened after though.
Okay.
So.
And so you buried yourself in your work?
I wouldn't say I buried myself in my work, but it was sort of like, this work must get done, And like, how do I do it when I feel like I'm stinging inside because of what just happened? And my mom is dying. And what do I do? And it's like, well, you can't stop.
And how does one direct themselves? Because I feel like that can be very difficult. So how did you like critique yourself? Like, did you watch back, like playbacks, or how did you do that?
Yeah, so this was really weird because I wasn't like a terribly experienced actor and I didn't know what I was doing. So I just winged it, and there were times when I was like, I'm not pulling it off. I know I'm not pulling it off, but what can I do? And so I would try to do something and like to get myself to the place I needed to be. For instance, there are a couple places where like I needed to show it. I felt like intense anger. I knew I couldn't get there. And there are moments when I'll watch like The Joker with like Joaquin Phoenix, where I think in some moments he has performances that Aaron could have, perhaps you could see him in. And I was like, see, that's how you do it. I didn't do it. But then there were other moments where I was like, okay, actually, this is weird. I'm pulling it off. There was a moment where like, because I didn't explain everything to everybody because we were under such a time crunch. When the other actor who played my brother, Michael, there was a moment where he was like, what are you doing? And I was like, he's crazy right now. Just go with it. It's a whole different thing. And I actually think it's sort of like a modern thing. When you think about the technology, 30 years ago, it would have been really difficult to be working with, old equipment where everybody needs to, you really need a very specialized editor and you need a specialized sound person and all this and that. But now if you have like a laptop, you can do it all. And I think we are seeing more self-directed actor writers and it's its own kind of art form.